Fantastic. Welcome everyone to Beyond Culture First Global 2024, putting our learnings into action and cultivating connection. Excited to have you here. We just had a chance to connect with our belonging badges, but the whole purpose of today is for our community members to come together and to share and reflect on our key takeaways from Culture First Global and to inspire and learn from each other. The goal is to continue the momentum of creating better workplaces by sharing actionable insights and strategies in an informal and engaging environment. So whether you attended Culture First Global or not, this is going to be a cool session for you to just hear from other people and how they consumed the information and content. Today we're going to have a chance for a little check-in. We have some featured speakers who've come prepared to share a few minutes of their insights from the conference. Then we'll open it up to everyone to share, kind of just more open format. Anyone can come off mute at that point. And then we'll have some closing announcements of what else is going on in the Culture First community. So if I haven't met you, welcome. My name is Jessie Jacob. I'm our Senior Community Manager at Culture Amp, so helping build and nourish our Culture First Global Chapters program. Many of our chapter leads are here today, so thank you all for collaborating with me. Excited to learn from you all and hear your words of wisdom. And all right, let's do a check-in. So you can either go to slido.com and type in this event code, or you can just scan this QR code on your phone, whatever works best for you. And I'm going to stop sharing. I promise I'll bring this back up. There we go. So here's the first Slido question for you all. What's one word to describe how you're feeling today? I know some folks had a word in their belonging badges, but let's just see what's true for us today. Yes, many of us were slow and to wake up and tired. We're exhausted. We're overwhelmed. Man, maybe we work in the people and culture industry or something. But we're excited. We're tired, but we're excited. I like that someone specified overwhelmed with work. Thank you. We're optimistic. We're rushed. Yeah. Thank you. Lonely. Oh, I'm just taking a moment for that one. Thank you. And thank you for being here. Wow. I appreciate your vulnerability. All right. Just an example of like, we're not always going to be sunshine and rainbows. So thank you all for just showing up and being who you are and wherever you are in life. I appreciate you. All right. Curious about this. What's one word you'd use to describe Culture First Global? Culture First Global is Culture Amp's, pinnacle event series. We just hosted a conference 2 weeks ago. We had some amazing speakers and some amazing breakout sessions and lots of data and research, all of the cool things. But curious, what comes up for you? Inspiring, exciting, interesting, affirmed. Ooh, enlightening, human. Zinger. I like the word zinger. Zinger. That's hilarious. Welcoming. Yay. That makes me happy to hear. Very cool. About excellence. Yeah. Relearning. I love that. Collaborative. Comfortable. Oh, this is great. Very cool. All right. Give you just one more moment here. One more person. Boop, 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 boop. All right. All right. And our last check-in question. In one sentence, what's something you've learned, relearned, or unlearned when it comes to creating a better world of work? This doesn't necessarily have to be about Culture First Global. I know we're here to talk about Culture First Global, but just in general. The idea is to keep it concise. Also, shout out to Austin Drabek, who's here. I love this question, and I've been running with it. So thank you for the inspo. Higher expectations. Yeah, treat people as humans. Can I get an amen? To hold polarities. Ooh, power of storytelling. Everyone has different work styles. All about connection. Everyone does have different work styles. It's so easy. That's an easy one that I personally forget. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Yes, respect the difference in others. There's that, like, the power of polarity. Redefining accountability through relationships. Awesome. Give a chance for one more person to share. Yeah, go out of your comfort zone. Yes. Yes to that. +1. Awesome. Thank you all for checking in. Um, Well, this wouldn't be a culture first gathering if we didn't talk about who we are as a community. So, if this is your first time, welcome. If it's not, another reminder of grounding you and why we're here together. Who are we? We are a group of people around the world united in the shared belief that a better world of work is possible. And by golly, we are willing to do something about it. We have 5 core principles that hold all of us together. At this point, we now have 100 chapters around the world. We have 14,000 community members in just the chapters program alone. And this is how we ask you all to show up at our gatherings. So we ask you to foster belonging and acceptance. So we're modeling this by thanks for just showing up today and sharing how you were feeling. And lots of people are going to have very diverse opinions and perspectives on how they consumed the content. So just create a space where people feel valued and seen and appreciated for just being them. Our second core principle is being willing to reflect and grow. If we are on this mission to transform the future of work, that goes to our organizations doing the work, but ultimately that starts with us personally being the change we want to see in the world. So turning that mirror around and saying, how am I showing up? What can I do? How can I be the change I want to see in the world? The third one is having the courage to be vulnerable. We are already modeling this with our belonging badge check-in. We were modeling this with our Slido check-in. But this idea of, like, we are constantly wearing masks, and the human, there's so many elements of who we are as human beings. The intersectionality of who we are is really important. And so thank you for just showing up, and it gives other people permission to be more of their authentic, vulnerable selves. Putting learning into action, that's what today is all about, reflecting on the content from Culture First Global, but then also, like, how have you implemented it, or how do you plan to implement some of the learnings from Culture First Global? That's a really important thing for us, because cool if we talk or sit around and talk about culture all day, but it requires putting action, doing something about it. And then the last core principle is connection inside, business outside. So in the context of this gathering, we ask that you all here to connect on the inside first as human beings. And if that leads to us doing business later outside, maybe a speaker is here and you're like, whoa, I love them. We want you all to collaborate, connect with them, consider hiring them. We want that to happen. But we just ask that here it doesn't become a hard networking or getting people to sign up for a salesy kind of thing. That's not what we're here for. All right, so we have some featured speakers today. Like I mentioned, we're going to have each of these individuals take roughly 3-4 minutes max to just share some of their key takeaways and perspectives from Culture First Global. And then we'll open it up to the community to do kind of an open share. I am so grateful that you all are here to share your words of wisdom, and I'm really excited to just learn from you. Sit back and take notes and learn from you all, because I didn't get to see all of the content, so this is going to be awesome for me as well. I'm not going to say, like, who needs to go when. It's I feel like we're adults. If someone feels called to go first, great. I will also set a timer for you so you'll be able to see it. And then I will spotlight each of you as well. I think what will be helpful is what maybe just share in your time who you are and whatever you want to share. obviously love to if you'd share your chapter, but whatever comes to mind for your work you're doing in the world, and then get into your key takeaways. So whoever wants to go first, you're welcome to go, and I will set a timer for you so you'll be able to see it.
I'll go first.
Okay, I love it. Thank you, Tamika. Okay, before you go, Tamika, also, for the rest of our community, I'm like so excited that these folks are coming to share their perspective. After everyone shares, I would love if we could like come off mute and either share some like verbal love, whether it's an applause, whether it's like a heck yes, I love that, a heart emoji, you can react, whatever it is. Please give a little bit of love for each of the folks who share, because this is it's a cool thing to do. All right, Tamika, I'm going to spotlight you and go on with your big bad self.
Excellent. Thanks, Jesse. Hi, everyone. I'm Tamika Allen. I am one of the chapter leads for Culture First here in Houston, Texas. I have over 15 years of experience in people, talent, DEI, and organizational development. I'm also a certified personal executive coach and the founder of Mod Culture, where we're fostering business success through inclusive work cultures. And so my perspectives today are actually being pulled from the fireside chat between Didier Elzinga and Esther Perel. And within the first minute of their transformation, of their conversation, it really resonated with me. Now, all of my takeaways are going to be from the unique perspective of making work cultures more inclusive for neurodivergent talent. And what I loved about this conversation was Didier started off by talking about how Esther Perel takes her experience as a relationship expert and brings it inside of organizations to create transformation. But she doesn't do that by telling people what to do, right? She does it by asking them the right questions so she can help them pull out the right answers. And that specifically aligns with what actually coaching is in leadership development and the work that I've done in organizations. So if you've heard of the International Coach Federation, coaching is literally partnering with someone in a thought-provoking and creative process that inspires them to maximize their personal and professional potential. If you coin that and put that together with what Carol Dweck, she's an American psychologist who coined the term growth mindset, says that a person's abilities aren't innate because they can be, but they can be improved through effort, learning, and persistence. So in the context of supporting a neurodivergent talent, it might look like asking them the right questions like, what workplace conditions allow you to be the most productive? What communication strategies work well for you? Are there any specific job duties that leave you feeling drained or exhausted, right? And the reason why this is important to ask the right questions is because you can have 10 different employees who have disclosed their ADHD, but their needs could look very unique between each of those individuals. The other takeaway I want to share with you was Esther Perel went on to talk about the difference between relationship problems and technical problems. So an example in the neurodivergent context of a technical problem might be on a call like this. Maybe someone is requesting an accommodation like turning on the captions in the videos to help process that audible information. That would be a technical problem, right? A relationship problem might be that manager of that employee might have trouble demonstrating empathy for the employee's learning differences, right? That is a relationship problem. So why is that empathy important in the relationship? Because it builds trust, employee engagement, and retention. So as I wrap up, when leading neurodivergent talent, embrace a growth mindset by having a willingness to learn, listen to understand, not to respond because it builds empathy, and be curious and ask the right questions to get the right answers. Thank you.
Yes, so good. Come off mute, give Tamika some love. Woo.
Thank
Bravo.
you.
Good. Thank you. I was over here like quickly taking notes. That was awesome. Thank you so much, Tamika. All right, open it up to, okay, Hannah, I love it. Go on. Let me spotlight for you. All right, you go ahead, Hannah.
So I'm not as prepared as Tamika, and I thought that was so eloquently put, and really I enjoyed all the points because I'd heard the Esther and Didier talk. and it hit you in so many places, all the little bits and quotable quotes. I was telling somebody, I think it's like an HR quotable quotes session. So I mean, there were so many sessions that I got a chance to either hear on the day or later rehear. I've thought of what we're talking about today is putting our learning into action. And as my work as a D&I consultant and somebody who works with organizations to put D&I into operation, their vision and their mission, I thought that I would focus on those sessions that really resonated to me in the D&I frame. And I think I could start with the report that Culture Amp has put out, the 2024, and the disturbing trend in that is that D&I is on the, not a priority for organizations anymore because of maybe political backlash, but generally fatigue around it. And what the report highlighted is, one, that there is lack of leadership support for D&I now, and so not many resources being allocated to it. That there is a lack of D&I expertise for organizations. So either they're not investing in those roles for a DEI officer or some specific roles in their organizations, or they're not hiring the right consultants who can provide that expertise. And then the last that they said that companies have stopped or gone down in collecting D&I data. And so that's another that brings to mind, what you don't measure, you can't change. So that's a very disturbing trend as well for us practitioners. And I actually see this in action where I'm told, can you formulate a policy or what you're going to do, but not use the terms diversity, inclusion, or equity in this, and work around culture maybe, or talk about it in another way, because leaders are not willing to put their lot behind a D&I initiative for some reason. So then I came to the Damon session, in which he talks about how important HR analytics and data is to actionable insights. So how important it is to collect that data and come to that and have actionable insights, which are not just giving you a retrospective look, but giving you some ideas about how you can put what you need into action in the future. So data on that front. So I think that it's important to emphasize to our organizations how important it is to collect that data. And then I would tell everybody to listen to the ON session, in which the company ON talked about, sorry, time is up, but ON talked about how to put D&I into action. And they have a very, sequential plan in which, although they didn't talk so much about buy-in and how to create buy-in in the leadership, I think that's an important thing. If somebody were to ask me what was left out in the conference, is how to get buy-in. So she was very lucky. She already had leadership buy-in, but her approach to a robust D&I program was to integrate it through all processes throughout the employee life cycle journey, and not have it as a standalone silo thing that happens once in a while, but to make it part of the organization. And then you have buy-in, you have people not feeling fatigue, you're not asking questions that you're not going to take actions on because you're making it part of the whole organization.
Yes, love for Hannah. Woo, woo, woo. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. What you can't measure, you can't change. Thank you so much. So good. Also, anyone else who's sharing, I'm just setting a timer for 3 minutes. You're welcome to go for an extra minute over, but I just letting you know that that's like where we're, just to keep us on track here. Awesome. Thank you so much, Hannah. Anyone else want to go next? Mike, love it.
Oh, go on.
No, Paula, go ahead. I'll let you go. I'll follow you.
Thank you. Well, I'm Paula Aragon. I'm based in Porto. I'm the chapter lead of Porto. And I really like the session that was a debate about the career development responsibility. So there was like this debate of who is responsible. The company is responsible for your career development, or you are responsible for your own career development. So here, I think like the best approach is a mix of both. Because from one side, the data scientist, what I recall, he mentioned that maybe some team members don't want to keep developing in the roles. They are happy with what they're doing. Maybe they're currently excelling in the role, but they don't want to move forward in a managerial level, or they maybe feel like this is what I want. I do it really good, and I don't want to feel like I have this responsibility besides my work, that keep learning and spending more time doing other things besides what I'm doing right now. From the other perspective, is that the data that they got from the companies said, like, when companies have these development plans, they could see an improvement in the development of current team members, on the performance of team members, that give this little push of moving forward and excel in their current roles, and even for having internal mobility, or if there was some opportunity for promotion, that they will have the tools to develop these skills and move forward. Also, what I think it's, I recall it was very important, was that skills are changing in this moment so much, and it's easier and cheaper to develop internally your team and move forward all together into fulfilling these kind of skills with internal training than hiring people outside of the company with higher pay rates that maybe they have the know-how, but why if we could move forward with our current team members and give them an opportunity to grow? So I think that for me, that was the session that impacted me the most. And also to think about strategically, what are the aspirations of each team member, because maybe they want to develop themselves and they want to have these tools, but they don't want to rely the whole responsibility in themselves. But also, what if the company has a lot of budget and the people don't use it? Like this, if the responsibility is on their own and they do not decide to take it, like, what about all of the money that we already allocate them and we expect them to use? So yeah, I think that is a mix of both as my takeaway, and I really like that session. And I know that time is over, so yeah, that's what I wanted to share.
Yes, come off mute, give Paula a little love. Thank you, Paula. So good. People science, great debates. Who's responsible for your career development? Both. Awesome. All right, Mike, I know you were next.
Well, let's do it. Oh, that's a lot on my face. Hello. Hi, everyone. My name is Mike Cohn. I'm super excited to be here and chatting and learning from all of y'all. I am currently based in Boston and moving to Philadelphia, and hopefully joining the Philadelphia chapter in the near future. But right now, co-leading our Boston chapter. I'm the chief people officer at a company called Kevel. We're a tech company that's globally distributed. We've got folks in the US, but we also have folks in Porto. So Paula, we'll have to chat next time I'm coming to Porto. And I'm super glad to be following you, because one of the things that I was thinking a lot about is that exact conversation. I really enjoyed that dialogue. I think the debate that Paula just outlined was something I was giving a lot of consideration to, and I agree that there's very much a both and piece of that. One of the takeaways, in addition to everything that Paula shared that I agree with, is very much this idea of transparency from a culture perspective, and setting the expectation of, this is what we do as a company, this is what we expect of you as individuals, regardless of where you fall on that continuum. Because being able to tell people, hey, this is what we're going to provide, I believe, and this is what we do. We provide the structure, we create the doors, we create the paths, but then we want the individuals to take ownership and walk the paths and go through the doors that they choose, and giving some concrete components to what that looks like, just so that everybody knows this is what we're expecting and this is what we offer, so you can manage that accordingly. And that was a big takeaway that I was thinking a lot about. I also really loved the session with Megan Rapinoe. There were just so many amazing things that I loved hearing. I also should take an aside that when I was talking to Jessie about what was appropriate to share in this session, I basically sent her 7 pages worth of notes. And so it was incredibly difficult to discern what was the best thing to share. But the things for me is I loved that the conversation about thinking of soccer as work for Megan. She had this whole dialogue about it's easy to think of that as just like a game that you play, but she pursues soccer and equal pay, at the same time. And all of that is part of her work. That is part of her focus. But she was really upfront about how she has to set boundaries and focus points just like the rest of us. It's a really good reminder that work is not just what we do 9 to 5, or not that anybody ever does that anymore, but it's what do we do from an emotional labor perspective? What are we carrying? What are we choosing to burden ourselves with on a broader arc? How does that impact how we think about things? And then how do we set boundaries, both from a professional work standpoint, but also from a what is the work that we do day to day, and how do we make sure that we're taking care of ourselves? The other thing that I loved is she really lives her values. I think that's important to all of us. We've heard this from everybody who's spoken so far. Tamika, Hannah, Paul have all talked about the value from an inclusion standpoint, the value from a living how you want to show up in the world and putting a little bit of good out into the world. So from representing women to representing queer folks to representing equality and equity, she is actively pursuing ways to make this world better for herself and for others, and making sure that we do what we need to do to really live the values that we internalize and want to share with the world on a regular basis. Okay, I guess that's a good place to pause. Thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate the time.
Woohoo! You were so good.
Yes.
Great.
Thank you, Mike. So
Really.
good. So good. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. Talk about authentic. Woo. Amazing. Thank you so much. All right. I know that Natalia, Austin, Sonja, Ramita, Rachel, who would like to go next? Sonja. Okay, let me spotlight you. Hold on.
Not sure how I follow Mike. I only had 3 pages of notes, so I feel kind of like lame. But I love following from like that emotional labor perspective. So yeah, anyway, sorry, I'm Sonja, and I run the Edinburgh chapter. And I'm also the founder of the More Human Company, which is really supporting people not to burn out and not be assholes. So emotional labor is really important. And I guess when I was reflecting on my takeaways, I was kind of trying to shine the light on myself in terms of like, how am I showing up in regard to what I learned through the session? So I guess my number one takeaway was like, the quality of our relationships determines the quality of your life. And it's about having that authentic connection. And there was a thing, I think it was Esther said when she was talking about during the pandemic, how leaders really showed up and they were real. And because they were real, they were respected and the situation was understood. But now it seems to have shifted a little differently, right? People are not showing up as a real and authentic self. So they're not necessarily getting the same buy-in and respect from their teams and their people. So, I was shining that on myself. I was like, am I showing up as a real person? Am I showing up authentically as who I really am? And if not, why not? So that was kind of like takeaway number 1. Number 2 is like my favorite quote, which I think I'm just going to keep spinning again and again. And again, it was like Esther. And she said, unstated expectations are often premeditated resentments. Like mic drop moment. I was like, oh. And I think it happens in every single relationship, right? Whether it's in your personal life or in your professional life. So really taking time to have brave, necessary conversations, right? With compassion and honesty to provide that clarity. And that sentence just blew me away so much. I thought, am I being clear and concise? What do we need to put on the table that we're not putting on the table? Because either we're too scared or, we don't have the skills, we don't have the skills to do that emotional labor, right? That Mike was talking to. So yeah, I think that's a big one for me. And I think is great in terms of reducing stress and burnout. I think a lot of stress and burnout comes from that ambiguity, right? Because people know you're not being real. And you're also not saying what you really want. You're just like thinking everyone's a mind reader, which none of us are. So yeah, that was my second one. And my third one, I have to bring it up again, Hannah, is AI hallucinations. No idea what that is. Still to this day, I don't know what it is, right? Because I know nothing about AI. So I was like, okay, my action is I just need to speak to Teresa and I need to run her workshop on AI for myself and my chapter because, you know, AI is not going away. So I need to understand it more in terms of more human leadership. So yeah, there you go. There's my top 3.
So good. Thank you,
Yes.
Sonia.
Woohoo! Epic.
Oh, amazing. Thank you, Sonia. Yeah, someone we were saying in the chat, we really appreciated the self-reflection lens you were using through all of that. Really, really, really powerful. I mean, look at you living the culture first values of being the change you want to see in the world, having the willingness to reflect and grow. That's
All
awesome.
starts with us, right? It starts with you.
Totally. Totally. Yes, I loved that. Thank you. All right. Austin, Natalia, Ramita, Rachel. Handing over. Ramita.
Yeah.
All right. Spotlighting. Hold on.
Ooh, thank you.
All right. Go on.
Well, thank you, Jesse. Hi, everyone. I'm Ramita Atik. I'm based out of Berlin, Germany, and the chapter lead for, of course, the Berlin chapter. And I also work with SME leadership on their leadership development journey here, based out of Berlin and also around Europe. Wow, about the conference, where shall I begin? There are so many beautiful nuggets from different sessions, and I took a little bit from here and there, and I loved hearing from our community members today and chapter leads, co-chapter leads from different sessions. Of course, the amazing big session with Esther and Didier. I'll come back to that in a moment because already a lot of us have already shared about it. But other sessions, like of course Megan's session, which highlighted the power of community, was something that struck out to me a lot. I loved again what Paula mentioned was about the debate on whether the responsibility for career development laid on the company or the individual themselves. But one session that really struck out was, of course, Ben's session on play and how we can highlight curiosity and experimentation. And everybody knows me, I am a big fan of play and fun. But this time it was a bit different take. And I'm going to share that with an example that I've had post the conference with one of the partners I was working with. So one part of play is, of course, curiosity, experimentation, but play is also very messy. And you cannot have play without, a little bit of mess and dirt out there, whether you're going outside and making your shoes dirty or your clothes dirty, or you're playing board games where you're taking out your cards and pieces. And then somebody needs to, you got to play, but then there are parts where you need to peek up and after yourself. So I'm working with a partner later post-conference, and we're talking about their leadership style. And they are working, they have inherited a new team. And what they love doing with their teams, of course, teaching them what they do not like. And in their expression, they have mentioned, if something takes me more than 20 minutes, I'd rather do it myself. So that is where, as Sonja mentioned, a little bit of self-reflection started. As a manager or as a leader, sometimes a bulk of your work is about cleaning up and troubleshooting and doing all the fun stuff, yes, but also a lot of the stuff is you have to step back and let your team make mistakes, and you've got to be there for the cleanup stage. It's not fun. It's definitely not fun, which brings me to the first session with Esther and Didier, where we learned about the changing face of authority and how leaders and managers have now taken a different communication style. Sometimes, you don't want to share something because you feel your team members are going to be hurt. And how do you frame and communicate your message properly is a big part of your own leadership and career development. So yeah, all of that was wrapped up in this conference and the takeaways. And I loved, taking that into the conversation that I've had into my real world. And so, yeah, that was fun.
So good. Love for Ramita. Woo,
Woo!
I love it. I love to you've already like applied the learnings into a very real scenario. I loved hearing that. Thank you. So cool. So cool. All right. Natalia, would you like to go? Okay, let me All right, there you go, my friend.
Hi, everyone. My name is Natalia, and I'm Geneva chapter lead in Switzerland. And I am a trauma-informed facilitator. So, of course, my intervention is going to be about that. And a lot of things really piqued my interest, but I just let it all settle like I usually do with my sessions, that it's like snowflakes, the experience, the whatever the fields of consciousness, body, nervous system, all of that needs to digest that. And one phrase that remained, actually 3 words, that just stuck in me and like they reverberated on a daily basis, was a sense of agency that Esther used in that conversation. And it just stuck to me. And I think it stuck in me because it is at the essence of the trauma-informed approach that I advocate, and I advocate for its application almost anywhere. And for me, I see it as, like in the physics with electricity, I think there is salt water so normal water versus salt water. So the salt water conducts electricity. So for me, trauma-informed approach is a little bit like that. And it supports and conducts intention and impact like salt water, because it gives space to how that intention and impact resonates on the other side, be it yourself or your audience, your partner, your company, humanity at large. And so for me, it's a huge part of the question, how? In relation to almost anything, including, for example, the 5 principles for culture first. For example, communicating what's the other phrase? I also included, Sonja, for my takeaway post after the conference, understated that thing. So how do you make sure that your expectations are verbalized? For many people, this is not really possible. So, and for me, a huge part of the answer, how you get there, even to be able to do that, is the trauma-informed approach. And it will circle me back to one of the points, what I learned, I love that prompt too, how Esther highlighted the technical solutions, and I think someone else, Tamika, maybe picked up on that, and the relationship. So for companies, when technical solutions, it's all okay, the data, you apply this, you apply that, guidelines, rules, and everything. But when you apply relational psychology to the workplace, and it is becoming increasingly the hub for human connections, what do you do then? How do you shift mindsets? How do you go from a policy, implementing that policy, and shifting mindsets? And so for me, that also kind of circles back to that. And for me, I see that trauma awareness is a huge part of the answer to the question, how? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, love for Natalia.
Woo!
So good. Thank you. Thank you. Ooh, sense of agency. Awesome. So good. Oh, thank you all for sharing. I know that there was a lot of notes and sessions, so I appreciate you all synthesizing as best as you could. So it was amazing. It was so great to hear. Wanting to open it up to just anyone else that would like to share their perspective, whether you went to Culture First Global and want to share something that stood out to you, if you want to yes and to something that someone else shared, or maybe you didn't attend at all, and that's totally cool, and wanting to hear your perspective of What you just took away. Oh my gosh, Austin. I went through, I was like, okay, we've got everyone's gone. I'm so sorry. Please,
It's
my
okay.
friend.
I was hiding.
Oh my gosh, I'm spotlighting you right now. So sorry, my friend. All right, off to you.
My name's Austin Drabick, co-lead the Columbus, Ohio chapter and the Culture First Founders chapter, and then founder of a company called Conjuring Culture, focused on helping leaders start, scale, and sustain an astonishing culture. And first session I want to dive into, I'll try to speak quick to get things going. And since this is recorded, is the Esther and Didier session again. But it's actually not something that was mentioned in this session, but it was mentioned in the chat, which if you've seen Ted Lasso, if you haven't, you should, because it's a masterclass in culture, was the quote from the doctor there, which is, "The truth will set you free, but first it will piss you off." Which brings us to this idea of this yes and mindset that Esther was talking about, where, hey, you can feel these emotions, especially being in the people ops space of disagreeing with something or being upset, and you can still get the job done. So that importance of kind of saying yes to this and then moving forward. And the next point, which to the Slido question, I was the one who wrote communicate, 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 is, and someone already mentioned this, is the idea of feeling like you need people to mind read what's happening. Those unstated expectations are often premeditated resentments. I expect you to do something, but I never told you about it. And to me, that's the importance of making the implicit, what's going on in our mind, explicit to everyone else. And kind of assuming that, always assuming if it's not explicitly documented, it doesn't exist. And to me, that also reminds me of the idea of where a lot of conflict arises, the idea between solvable problems versus perpetual problems. And 69% of conflicts, whether in work with employees, leaders, but also in personal relationships like dating world, 69% of conflict is recurring perpetual problems that are about the same exact thing over and over again, because they're fundamental differences in personalities, values, or our lifestyle needs. And having a conversation about that can help alleviate a lot of the pain that comes with that. And a session I don't think was talked about here yet, which was John Ferguson of NASCAR, was talking about NASCAR essentially had two different organizations and they merged together. And he was one of the ones that had to kind of deal with, hey, you have these two very separate and different independent cultures. Now, how do we think about creating one culture and driving forward? And I think whether a merger and acquisition happens or whether just the company doubled in size or got rid of people, it requires thinking about, okay, who were we? And then thinking about who do we want to be and how do we bridge that gap is a really important conversation to have, instead of just letting everything happen by default and hoping things work out really well. And the last thing someone mentioned earlier is, would love to see more conversations around getting the buy-in. Something that the Elf Beauty VP of People Development talked about was ROI, painting the picture of pain. What is this costing us? Paint the picture of gain. What will spending this time give us? But I feel like there's not enough conversations around what was the struggle? How did you really convince people to care about this stuff that otherwise don't or didn't care about this? A lot of the conversations seem to be building off of people who already care, who already got the buy-in. So I'd like to hear some more around the journey of that.
Ooh, so good. Love for Austin. Thank you. Thank you.
Articulating for everyone the next sessions we need to have.
Yeah. Oh, so good. I'm glad you mentioned that NASCAR session because that was one I didn't get a chance to watch yet. So awesome. Thank you so much. I know we only have about 10 minutes, so wanting to open it up just generically to have anyone share. Yeah. Joe, what's up? Go on.
Hey, everybody. That was pretty good. Thank you so much, everybody, for sharing. A lot of good points I remember and some new ones or ones that I hadn't remembered. So that was good. There's a thread in here that I'm just going to test out to see if other people feel like this is also the case or if it's just me. I feel like a lot of the things that keep coming up, whether it's the unstated expectations, our premeditated resentment, some of the things that Austin just talked about. I guess for me, some of what I feel like I'm seeing today in the world that we're operating in the workplace is there's just like a lack of willingness to be honest. Like there's a lack of leaders willing to be honest so that they aren't stating expectations, they aren't being transparent, they aren't meeting people where they are, because they don't want to be honest maybe about the state of employee needs and changing expectations, or they don't want to be fully honest maybe about some of the pressures on the business that they're facing. And we end up with a lot of problems because of that. I also wonder on the employee side sometimes if we're also seeing sort of a lack of honesty in some cases, whether that's because they feel they need to cover and hide, and so they're not honest about what it is that they really need to be their best in that workplace, or if it's because, I don't know, there's lots of other trends like moonlighting and other things going on where employees are meeting needs in lots of different places and have less focus on one workplace. So it's not really a judgment. I'm just wondering if other people are sort of feeling this as an underlying malaise that is informing some of these other things that we've talked about.
Ooh, yes, yes, Joe. I'm so glad you called that out. I saw news coverage the other day how employees are like taking vacations without putting in PTO now, and they're just like, shh, don't tell anyone, but I'm on vacation, but I'm online, and that was like exactly what you're saying is like employees aren't being honest about the time they're taking off now. And like, yeah, there's like definitely a lack of honesty on both sides. I think for sure that feel that really resonated for me. Austin, what
I
were
just
you
want
saying?
to add a question to that. I don't know if anybody was going to answer it, but somehow I feel it's a trickle down effect. Like there must be some level of ambiguity that probably a top layer feels that, of course, trickles down in the organization. I just don't know how much of that is the reality. Maybe somebody has a little bit more insight. I just wanted to add to the question if that's the case, if it's also a trickle down thing where on the top it's also very unclear and like there is no clear sense of direction.
Yeah, I was thinking about Joe as you were talking about that from a perspective. It's various different perspectives for reasons behind what you're asking, but I think about why kind of tying what Natalia was saying about the trauma informed approach and why that's so important. Because I think about if you ever seen the movie Maleficent, now we see a lot of movies where we have these prequels around why the villains are the way that they are. I think, in a sense, as leaders, we need to understand the backstory of how we got here, right? In order to do that, we have to create that environment where we can both be candid about and for a leader, that will be limited, right? There'll be some business things they won't be able to share with the team, but I think at least creating that environment to where we can get enough information to understand where we are to know where we're going. So that's just my take.
I love that. Thanks, Tamika. Thanks for bringing that up, Joe. That's a really great point. I appreciated that. Anyone else want to share for a moment?
It's Rachel.
Yeah,
I'll
hey,
jump in
Rachel.
too.
Yeah.
Joe, I've observed that a lot as well. And I found that, it's like if I'm going to be honest, and then what I find holds leaders back is how to be honest. Like, how do I do this in a way that I don't create more fear in the employee population? Like, if I'm honest, then this thing is going to happen. And I'm so afraid of that. So I don't know how to be honest in a way that doesn't create more fear. And what's interesting is that by not being honest, you're actually creating more fear because everyone will create their own stories. So I appreciate you calling that out. And I do see that a lot of not knowing how to do it in a way that still feels authentic and is true, without creating that additional fear that they think that they're actually creating.
Yeah, right. It's like, thank you, Rachel. It's like how transparent, you know? Do employees really need to know what's happening with all the financials and the nitty gritty? You know, like at what point is that where you want to be? Kind of what Joe was saying about like the reality of where the business is, how the business is doing. Maybe it's not doing well. Like all of that stuff is really important. But like, how much do employees really need to know? Yeah.
I also think this boils down to some problems around when we talk about values. So often we're talking about values in like these, 5 things on a wall that are a bunch of nouns, whereas values really should be verbs. And so the word honesty doesn't actually tell me or any employees what behavior we're talking about, what the verb is. And so I feel like we could also define what we mean when we're talking about something like honesty. Well, we mean tell the truth. Or if we're talking about innovation, like, we need more innovation today, or okay, we need to look at the problem from a different perspective. When I read the verb statement, that tells me exactly what you want me to do, versus when I read a word like honesty, it's not actually telling me what behavior we're looking for. And it can also be interpreted in many different ways. So I feel like just defining what the behavior is that we actually want, what the verb is, could go a long way.
This is awesome. We could keep jamming out for a long time, but I want to be respectful of everyone's time. Thank you to you all for coming and sharing your perspective, your point of view. This was awesome. Would love if we could do just like a chat bomb checkout. If you could sum it up, how this experience was for you or how you're feeling into one word, boil it down. Drop it in the chat, but don't press enter yet. And then when you have your word in the chat, give me a thumbs up. Okay. And then on the count of 3, we are going to all press enter. Okay. 1, 2, 3, go. Yeah. So good. Thank you so much. Okay, just a few closing announcements here of like what's going on in the world. Again, thank you to all of our speakers who shared today. You all are legends. Go check out all of their events that are happening at chapters.culturefirst.com. They have many things scheduled. Other ways to stay connected with our community. If you're not in our People Geek Slack channel, definitely check that out. Subscribe to the Culture First podcast and our Geekly newsletter are 2 other great ways to stay connected with our community. We have an event tomorrow, Why Mental Health is a Critical Business Conversation all year round, with an author named Melissa Doman. She's written a book called Yes, We Can Talk About Mental Health at Work. So really excited about that. And then lastly, here's the link to watch all of the on-demand content that was mentioned today, but it's all available if you didn't get a chance to see all of the sessions. It is out there ready for you to consume. I know I have a few sessions that I need to catch up on. So, all right, that's it. It wouldn't be a Culture First checkout if we didn't do a clap out, because I love it so much. Did anyone want to count us down today? Hannah, love it. Okay, so what's going to happen? Hannah's going to go 1, 2, 3, and then we're all going to clap, and the Zoom meeting's just going to shut off. Okay. All right. So everyone come off mute, get your hands ready to clap. Thank you all for being here. It was a treat to learn from all of you. So thank you. And cheers to co-creating a better world of work. All right, Hannah.
1, 2, 3.